Here's a quote from, we're moving into pleasure and pain. Anyone familiar with either of those? Pleasure and pain. Yeah, these are two of the worldly winds, right? I'm going to move it back into this part, dimension of the worldly winds, pleasure and pain. Yeah. And there's a quote from Darwin. Are you ready for this? All sentient beings developed through natural selection in such a way that pleasant sensations serve as their guide. Let me read that again. All sentient beings developed through natural selection in such a way that pleasant sensations serve as their guide. So, of course, this makes common sense. This makes sense, right? That we would be orienting, we're orienting as organisms toward the pleasant, toward what feels good, right? Yeah. We're wired to move toward the pleasant, and we're wired to move away from the unpleasant. Yeah. And it's so important to hold this in mind when we come up against these exhortations or instructions, or even suggestions in meditation practice, that we shouldn't be attached to the pleasant. What are you talking about? We're wired to be attached to the pleasant. So, okay, if there's some practice that we have to do here, if we're going to be moving in another direction, okay, but we have to understand the degree to which we are going against the grain of some of the deepest wiring in our natures. It's not just flipping a switch. Oh, now I'm not going to be attached. Okay, I won't be attached anymore. What? See, or I should be able to be with difficult sensations. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We're not wired at all. Our whole lives have been spent not wanting to move toward difficult sensations. So, okay, maybe there's something in there for us to look at and to look into, but let's honor the magnitude of our conditioning. It's not just personal and it's not just cultural, it's evolutionary. It's baked into the very deepest levels of foundation of our nervous system, of our wiring, and of our being, Coming to realize this took me a long time. Yeah, I thought I should just be able to not be attached. It can really just give us a much broader perspective and a much more patient perspective. And there's so much ground for self-compassion here. And for why whatever practices we're doing in this territory are going to be gradual. They're going to be gradual shifts. And they're only going to work to the extent that we find something else that's a little bit more pleasant. By the way, the reason these practices have been around for 2,600 years is not because they just abandon the pleasant. It's because they're finding something more pleasant in a different way internally, and the more gross forms of pleasantness that we encounter out here. The reaching, the grabbing, the craving. We're really wired to crave is the problem. To really want. I remember the last time I was at Vaisitos, it was a wonderful moment. We looked outside the kitchen window, and there was a bird's nest right outside the window. The mother feeding the baby bird. The baby bird was like, have you ever seen them like reaching up with the beak, feed me, feed me, yeah. And I looked out at that and I went, I can relate to that. I got that in me. We've all got that in us. That sense of wanting to be filled up out here. Fill me, feed me. In one way or another, I knew not just through food, but through stimulation in one way or another, something more interesting, something, uh, fill me up. I want to be filled up. And the poignancy of that, of course, is that it's all impermanent. Of course, this is where the rubber meets the road with Buddhist psychology and the Buddhist perspective. Yeah, we get that, but nothing lasts for more than a second. The bite of chocolate. I want another one. I want another one. I want another one. No, the image in Buddhist cosmology of the hungry ghost, which captures a psychological state of mind and a deep part of our evolutionary state of mind. Yeah. And the image of the hungry ghost is a being with a huge belly and a very, very narrow throat. Yeah. And wanting to eat, but no matter how much, it can only eat in little bites, little bites, and it can never feel full. Can never feel full. And do we ever feel full? Do we ever feel satisfied? Really satisfied? Yeah, maybe in moments, right? In some moments. But then there's that empty feeling. There's that sense of what else? What else? That's the dukkha the Buddha talked about. The endless wanting to fill ourselves from some and out here, as opposed to developing a different kind of contentment inwardly. You see, the holding environment, the inner holding environment, in practice, the raft that we're building, the nest that we're building in the practice, it isn't about turning away from the pleasant. It's about finding something else that's pleasant in here as well. That's content in and of itself, that doesn't need something else out here to fill us up, you know? But through the way that we attend, through the way that we soften around the spiky edges of craving, learning to be more and more content, yeah? Content, at ease, more at ease, discovering that we can learn to be more at ease, more comfortable, more at home, yeah? And begin to put down slowly a little here and there that that craving to be filled up from somewhere out here. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Sukha. 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 Susan used that hummingbird analogy the other, not the hummingbird, the homing pigeon. The mind goes wandering off, looking for something out here, and then comes back, it's back here, home base here. It's discovering a home base here. It's discovering the pleasantness of a home base here. It's more content, it's more at ease, it's more balanced, it's softer and more pliable. Yeah.